What's up, everybody? It's Jimmy with Trading Decoded. It is June 10th, 2024. It is 3:54 in the afternoon, and the market is not yet closed. But we're done trading for the day, so I figured I'd get an early start on this particular video. Not much to talk about today. We had no news, no reports, so this morning started out a little interesting. We found some plays to the downside, and then we found some plays to the upside. We trended up for a good portion of the day today. Playing both the upside and pullbacks in between. Yeah, they were slow moves for the most part, but moves nonetheless. So let's go ahead and take a look at the chart and see what we were looking for this morning. Well, before the market opened, we were in a relatively tight-ish range. And pre-market, our pre-market high, mid, and low lines are right here, 533.26 to 533.87. And because we were moving down towards the downside, obviously that would be what moving down is, Jimmy, we were interested in being prepared for puts. Now, our call line was a breach above 533.26. Our put line was a close below 532.36. As you can see, we never even came close to our put line. So you might be wondering, well, Jimmy, why puts? Well, the reason for puts is because we have aggressive traders in our community. We have people that want to play puts, believe the reason to play puts exists. And I'm on board with that. But the only thing that we cautioned was, guys, we're moving into the open, trending down. If you're interested in puts, it would be safer because of the congestion down here to buy them at resistance. And as long as that resistance holds, we would be aiming for this support right here. Okay? Do you have to take this trade? Of course you do not. Do you have to wait to find out whether we're going to get through this line before you take puts? No, you could do what you want. It's your money. But we do know that this acted as a resistance in pre-market twice before the market opened. Okay. And I believe at this time, Qs were also up against, or actually the Qs had just closed below their red line. Okay. Yesterday's low of day. Now we recognize that the Qs had support here. And this is one thing that made today a little bit interesting is that SPY was coming down even though the Qs were moving up. That's very unusual and uncomfortable, especially if you follow the Qs religiously to stay in your trades or not. But many of us were holding down to the futures line. Others were holding down to our second target low, and others were holding down to the pink line. Either way, you got all three opportunities. Every one of them were coming off of lower highs, which means we are likely to continue down and break through supports. For those who got in, even if you hesitated and got in halfway through this was like a 12% return. Down here, you got close to a 21% return. And by the time you got here, you got near 25%. And then we started to move up. Now, as we're moving up, we're saying, hey, Qs are still moving up. That's a good thing, right? We want Qs and SPY to be moving in the same direction, and we looked for ADD to give us confirmation, this is for future trades in the day, that everything is moving in the direction that we want it to. But as we get to the put line or the call line here on SPY, so we come off of support, we move up, we breach the call line. Now, technically, this would be your entry candle, but more importantly, at 10:02 on the Qs, we had just closed above a line of resistance. Okay? Now, the one thing that we talk about all the time is if we close above resistance, we're looking for it to continue up to the next resistance. Where we close below support, we're looking for it to come back down to the next support. Does that work 100% of the time? No, but we like to use it as confirmation. So at 10:02, we closed above resistance. We were hoping that it goes up to the blue line. SPY also breached our call line. You got in, we stayed in, you got out. Okay, that was a decent move. Gave us about a 30-cent move, depending on when you got in. You can't argue with that. Now, during this sideways momentum, slow moving crap here, we couldn't get comfortable about the cues, okay? Everything seemed to be moving very, very slow at the time. And I wasn't sure if we were going to continue up. I certainly wasn't going to be buying calls that was going to lead me right into this line of resistance, because at this point, we had made zero progress in getting above it. Now, I don't count these candles right here because it's from 8 o'clock and it's just, they're there all the time. And very rarely do they act as levels of support and resistance. You guys can watch this, and very, very rarely do these candles hold any value whatsoever. So I ignore them altogether. So keeping that in mind, in this pre-market, we weren't able to close above 533.87. So if you got into this trade because we closed above the line and you were aiming for that, you got that. But we ended up continuing up higher. Higher lows, okay, typically means bad for puts, so we shouldn't be looking for puts. And ADD started to move its way up after selling off pretty aggressively this morning, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so we had a really nasty sell-off leading into the open, and then it quickly started to recover, and it started to go up all day long, except at a rabbit's pace. You know, it wasn't a huge mover. And so we were looking to play with the momentum of the market, which was slow but up. Okay, once we cleared this level of resistance and we're putting in higher lows and higher highs, the next call opportunity that we were interested in was right here at 11.25. Now, on the SPY chart, that's seemingly in the middle of nowhere. I understand that. I had somebody who was looking to buy calls, and I was saying, hey, let's just wait for the cues to at least get above this line of resistance right here, okay? This orange line. You want to buy calls, that's fine. We're getting awfully close to resistance. At least wait for a candle close above it. We got that close at 11.25. Now we were hoping the cues would move up and get to their next line, which they eventually did. And we were able to get into these calls on SPY. This is when the cues hit their resistance. We're still putting in higher lows. This is where I tell people, guys, we're coming off higher lows. I'm interested in this resistance no longer being resistance because of the higher lows. So if you want to hold on to those trades, it's likely to move up, not reject it. You could take your profits there. There's nothing wrong with that. You do you. When we get to any of these lines on support or resistance, I always tell people, if you're in profit, move your stop loss to something that keeps you in profit, so that if it does reject, the odds fail us and we come down, then you've lost very little. But more importantly, you stayed green on the trade. We break through that resistance, as statistically says we would, and we continue up to the next line of resistance. In which case, cues were bumping up against resistance as well. Take your profits. All right, after this, I headed off to lunch. I come back from lunch. Now, I had somebody looking to buy calls during this downtrend. And they said, well, Jimmy, we've been trending up all day. I said, yes, we have. The market seems to be pretty happy at the time. But he asked me, why wouldn't you buy calls? And I said, well, for several reasons. Number one, cues are trending down at the moment. SPY's trending down at the moment. We're breaking support levels. You're buying. He's wanting to buy calls when cues had just closed below support. I said, I mean, it's not that it can't be done, but there's more factors working against you than those that are going for you. So for me, it was an unnecessary risk. So the question then becomes, well, when would you buy them? I said, well, if cues can break their downtrend and SPY can break their downtrend, I could be on board for calls as long as there's potential room to the upside, right? So at 142, I want you guys to take a look at what happened at 142. both on the Qs and on SPY. We broke a downtrend. And then we ran like crazy to the upside. I would have never expected a move this quick. But we had alerts set. First alert was set on the Qs right here at their first lower high to the left. Right there. It got there, beeped. Many people took their profits there. Guys, if you want to hold on, set your stops tighter. I'm expecting this thing, if we can close above this, to head up to 464.77. It's exactly where it went. That's where all these exits are. Okay, so all we had to do was be patient enough, give us more reasoning to take calls other than we were trending up an hour ago. We had been trending down for an hour and a half at this point. Okay, we're trading on a 1 minute chart, guys. We're trading on a 1 minute chart. I have to know what's going on a minute by minute basis, not on a 15, 30 or hour chart. Okay, yes, I'm sure on an hour chart it looked like we were still trending up. If you're trying to trade a 1 minute, then you've got to watch a 1 minute chart and wait for 1 minute reactions. All right, beautiful trade to the upside. Now I'm done, long done trading at this point. So for me, this is not a trade I took or would have taken. I would have if I traded all day long, but I don't. All right, and we had an interesting conversation about that today as well. Now this one here, which is the last trade setup that we talked about. I'm trying to find help. I'm trying to help the people in our community who trade or insist on trading all day long, right? Usually my style of trading doesn't work later in the day because theta is getting to be too much and there's just too many different levels of support and resistance to worry about. So it's hard to get into a trade and feel good about it, at least for me. Now here, aggressive. What's happening here? Well, we are coming off of a lower high. So the support that is the futures line is likely to fail. So if you want to get in, you're looking for the next support down, which is right here. Now we got within pennies of that support. Qs had landed on support around this time. Nice quick 25% trade right here. Then we reacted, pulled back up, and sold off again. All right, but each time we broke and closed below support. I want you guys to recognize this. Every time we close below support, which went right here, we got it here, it moves down to the next support. Okay, it doesn't work 100% of the time, but just start paying attention to this. Pay attention to the lower highs, allows supports to break, not hold. So you don't want to buy calls off of lower highs. Okay, lower high, break support, down we go. We put in higher lows, okay? When you start putting in higher lows, don't buy puts at resistance. Higher lows, don't buy at resistance. Lower high, support, lower high, support, breaks, okay? You guys can watch this happen all day long. If you get used to it, you could start using it to your advantage. It might keep you out of some trades that end up not working out. Might help you get into trades that you otherwise wouldn't have. Okay, there are a ton of little nuances out there that you can pay attention to that'll give you a little bit more of an edge. Wait for those things. All right, so that's it, guys. That's all I got for you today. I hope you found some useful information in this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to join our Discord community, well, we'd love to have you. There's a link down below. Your first week's completely free. At the end of that week, you can become a paying member, or you don't have to. You don't have to leave the server. You don't have to become a paying member. You're more than welcome to stay and hang out with us. I am going to be offering the start of our quarterly annual discount halfway through the month. So on Friday, I'll have a coupon code for that. That makes it essentially $50 a month instead of the $100 a month that it is when you go month to month. We are offering now, because it's available to us, to do the buy now, pay later thing, if that's something you're interested in. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you all did well today. I expect another relatively slow day tomorrow leading into FOMC on Wednesday. Big reports coming out Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So be prepared, be patient. Till tomorrow, I love you guys. See you.